Hey guys, it's AngeloBangelo from GameLeap.com, and welcome to my replay analysis for the 4th and 5th position. This is going to focus on this gentleman here, Skylar or Destructo Boy. He's a Dazzle player, and he's looking to improve on his support game, so I'll give out any tips that I can. It's my first replay analysis for GameLeap, so what I'm going to try to do is make it short, concentrated amounts of information with a few mistakes that I saw, and not bore you too much with the long lulls of nothingness that seem to occur in Dota. So first thing that we'll do, we'll get the replay started, and we're going to go over to the mid and watch what this Witch Doctor does, because this is something that you typically don't see in like a 4K game, in my opinion. First thing he does is he blocks the wave for your mid, and then, anticipating that your mid's going to have his hill, and their mid will not have their hill, he swings around and ganks. So he ends up getting imprisoned. He comes up, he uses his cask, he runs, he blocks up, and then the Invoker actually doesn't use his Fairy Fire. So that gets first blood for your mid. So pretty much just one mid for your team right there, which is nice. You're still in top. Now, you got Poison Touch first, and I think that's a big mistake. I'll explain why throughout the video. We'll rewind a bit and just look at the trades that you're making. You want to be looking at what kind of harass you're dealing to your offlaner as the safe lane support. So right there, you Poison Touch, and he comes up and right-clicks, 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 and then he has to leave because Troll came. So not overall a great trade, and I'll explain why. So Poison Touch is physical, and this guy, when you have a hero, you have to assume that Valve has some sort of idea what they're doing when it comes to balancing heroes, even though sometimes it seems that they don't. Spirit Breaker is a hero that dives towers. So what will a hero like that need? Probably a ton of armor and probably a ton of health. So his starting strength is very high, his strength gain is fairly high, and his armor is insane. So towers don't really touch him. So when you have spells that are physical damage, it's not really going to hurt Spirit Breaker that much. If you are right-clicking Spirit Breaker and he's right-clicking you back, and you have to use spells, and you are still losing on the exchange of right-click to right-click, then overall it's not a favorable exchange to you. What you should instead be doing is looking at this lane like it's another mid. If you had Troll versus Spirit Breaker mid, you'd probably think, wow, what a silly matchup. Of course Troll's going to win. Well, that's what you have to look at your lane as. This is a 1v1 with you stepping in occasionally as needed to supply either like some sort of turnaround or complete a gank. And overall, Poison Touch I don't think is going to be that great against this draft, but we will see. I know you got a value point into it, but I feel that the value point, the extra point in the grave, will be doing a lot more work later on. And I'll explain why as we go. So let's unpause. Now at 2 minutes, something fairly big happens. We get the next rune. Venge gets it, and it's an Invis rune. So Venge starts making her way mid. As you can see, she comes up. She's seeing she is she's eaten by Astral Imprisonment. I just call it eat. So she gets eaten. She comes up. She has her stun. Courier's coming. Yeah, Nature's Prophet here, and Cold Snap most likely invoked. Yeah, so he's able to get Cold Snapped as well. So gets stunned, right click from Furion, about to get Cold Snapped, and Witch Doctor is TPing in to turn the gank around. You've got Dazzle here. Dazzle has enough for a TP, and he will have enough after this pull for a Courier as well, and he's not TPing to save his mid. So this is a big thing that you could have done. And not only does he save the mid as he pops his Fairy Fire, but with the Maledict and the Cask, he actually turns it around. So now you're going to be ahead in experience, ahead in gold from all that. And the fact is, I mean, he definitely would have died if it wasn't for the Witch Doctor. And as a defensive support that pretty much relies on turning ganks around, you need to put much more emphasis on grabbing a Scroll of Town Portal as early as humanly possible, even as a first item. Like, even when you get 75 gold, if you plan on getting at least one pull, you'll be able to pull, upgrade the Crow at 3, and get a Scroll of Town Portal to save your mid, if necessary, with the 2-minute rune, if it's Invis or Haste or whatever. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be playing defensive supports, is TPs are absolutely crucial. Kudos to that Witch Doctor for not only blocking the mid getting the first blood, but also TPing in to save your mid and put him even farther ahead, because they're trying to even out the lane with some ganks, and it's not working because this Witch Doctor is really on point. Next mistake that I saw was right around the 4-minute mark. Now, when you stack and pull, you are separating your lane. You are no longer supporting. You are doing something greedy because you want to get levels. You just hit your 3, and you skip Grave. And I think that's a big mistake, and I'll explain why. First of all, we'll talk about separating your lane and what I mean by that exactly. So we'll go over here, we'll watch the lanes. Now look at the lane. You've got Troll up here, right-clicking, with creeps right here, and you're positioned up here to get some solo EXP. So you're getting some hard denies, that's nice. But Venge has rotated up, and it doesn't look like you've noticed. I could probably go into your player perspective and probably see that you're most likely, I won't even bother, you're most likely just watching the farm here. You may be peeking back over here, but it's too late. He's too far up, and he's going to die. And you don't have a point into Grave. You got 2 into Shadow Wave, which is a mistake. So you get 17% bashed. That's unlucky for him. And then, so you start scooting up. Venge kind of sees you, walks up, sees you again, and stuns you. And now you're low. Now you use Poison Touch. So let's compare the effectiveness of Poison Touch versus Grave. You could have at least sustained Troll for a little bit longer if you got Grave. If nothing else, you can sustain yourself here and just walk around the corner. So we'll check out the work that Poison Touch does. Some damage, some slow. Overall, it would be much better to have a point in the Shallow Grave there. Poison Touch not doing a lot of work this game so far. I don't think it was the correct skill build. And when you stack and pull, remember that you are splitting your lane. It's now a 1v1, and you're farming creeps. You're no longer supporting. Your short lane carry is pretty much going to be on their own, and that's not always good unless you know that they have a free lane. And I think it was a good time to pull as far as the creep equilibrium, but it just wasn't a good time as far as your skill build isn't equipped to handle if they contest the pull. Like, let's say you pull this and Troll's farming up here, because that's where the creep equilibrium is going to go. If Spearbreaker walks up to you, there's nothing that you can do, because he can just right-click you out of it and contest the pull. The whole point of pulling is getting experience and gold for yourself. Now, if you're getting experience and gold, and Spearbreaker walks up and starts right-clicking you and killing you, now you've been forced out of the pull, and it's actually his pull now. And there's nothing your carry can do because he's farming under the tower. And if you think that a carry is going to leave free farm under the tower to go help a support and push the offlaner out of the jungle and back into his lane, you're making a poor call in judgment, unfortunately, because your hard carry will always be farming under the tower after you pull. They're not going to help you. It's pretty much just a rule. It's an unwritten rule with hard carry that if your support pulls and he's getting killed, just keep farming. He's a lost cause. Goodbye. So that's another thing that you could be working on, is your pull timing, and better equip yourself to deal with pulls if they contest them. Because right there, they contested it with Vengeance Spiritbreaker, and you weren't able to help at all. Now, the last thing that we'll check out before I end the replay analysis will be at 17 minutes. This was your one of your biggest leads in the game as far as being ahead, or at least being as close to ahead as possible. So you just got the Aegis, and you're split farming. You've got top, you've got here, you were farming here earlier, now you've got someone going mid as well. So essentially you're farming all 3 lanes, and you've got this guy here. Now, you had to use your TP. You literally had to. For people that didn't see the replay before this, he got charged, he had to use Grave, and then he had to TP out and pray that he didn't get bashed, which he didn't. So good on you for living, but now you're a bit behind on this team fight, which is unfortunate. So they're looking to push. They're grouping. They're 5-manning. And that's great for you, because you're utilizing the map extremely well right now. You're all farming solo, getting solo experience, solo gold, while they're 5-manning and splitting 1 lane between 5 heroes in experience and gold. That's fantastic. Not only that, but you have an Aegis that they're fighting into. They're fighting into a hard carry with an Aegis. They want to fight. Like, this is ridiculous, especially when you consider timings of heroes. You look at Nature's Prophet, he doesn't even have his Orchid yet, and for some reason he's saying, hey, we should fight. This is my time. I've almost kind of got an Orchid. Perfect timing. Let's go in. This doesn't make any sense, to me at least. So this is a huge mistake on their part, and it's a great opportunity for you to capitalize on it and turn the game around. Maybe get a couple kills, swing ahead in the leaderboard or the scoreboard. So let's see what happens. They're pushing. get some TPs, get some responses. Nature's Prophet is now Nature's Prophet's here, get some health, and then he to get the other part of his Oblivion staff, which I don't think makes any sense. But apparently he wants to go on this Legion Commander. I don't think it's a good idea, but you know what? It is what it is. That's a great cask right there, and she blinks in, gets the duel, Witch Doctor ult down, Luna coming in, Dazzle coming. So we'll kind of watch this fight and break it down a little bit. So typically you're going to be exchanging spells. Witch Doctor ult and duel have gone off. She is about to stun, and then Eclipse goes off. So stun goes off, and he gets eaten immediately by OD, so Astral Imprisonment. So the stun is essentially negated. No one can capitalize on it. Witch Doctor ult is still down. Now, she could use... Oh, she used Beam on this guy instead of canceling the Witch Doctor ult, which is good for Witch Doctor. Unfortunately, Spirit Breaker is going to be canceling it. So overall, this has been a great initiation so far. Venge, stun was countered, duel was great, Solar Eclipse, or just Eclipse, was completely wasted. Nothing was hit at all. So fantastic so far. Now, Spirit Breaker gets a 2-man charge. This goes down, the meatball, but Legion Commander's at pretty much full health, so I don't think she's really going to care. So he gets done. Dazzle's now here, so this is your opportunity to land a big weave and maybe start getting your sustain and your heals going. You don't have any charges on your urn, but it's not the end of the world. So Nature's Prophet ults. He gets 17% bashed. What a team. What a player. Now you put Poison Touch on this guy, and overall, again, it's not going to do a lot of work. We could just watch it right now. Watch his health. His move speed's at 361. He's taking damage. 361 still. Taking damage. Now he's at 371, now 422 because he's charging. So overall, it took away 10 movement speed and did maybe 50 damage. Not really a ton of damage. Now, if you would have considered what would happen if you would have gotten a point in the grave, I think it would have done a lot more work. We'll kind of fast forward it back to where we were. So, again, he starts beating up the troll. Now, you, right here, try to grave, but you're a little too late. Now, if you would have been a little farther back and maybe had Shallow Grave an extra point, instead of getting the 10 movement speed in Poison Touch, you could have had a longer grave and a shorter duration. If you would have hit your 9 and put that extra point in the grave, meaning 2 points total, one from the Poison Touch and one from hitting 9 instead of 8, you have 15-second cooldown on grave. Being able to grave someone that has Aegis means they have to commit that much more to kill nothing. So that would be fantastic, but you miss your grave, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. OD should actually be hitting these Forge Spirits because he two-shots them, but it is what it is. So now you've got Troll coming back. He gets sprouted. That's unfortunate. Now, what spells do you have? You've got Legion Commander. She blinks in. That's a fairly aggressive blink. Now, Witch Doctor doesn't have any Voodoo Restoration, so unfortunately your sustain is not terribly strong. He eats his way out with Quelling Blade. He gets bashed. Oh, you get bashed. But he has his ult up, I think. Yeah, he's about to get up in 2 seconds. So LC's way out of position. Gets loose and beamed. He's got his ult up right now. He's going to probably get the troll. Now, I think you try to grave him. Right there, yeah. So you try to grave troll, but again, you are just too late with your graves, and you don't end up getting it off, which is unfortunate. Now OD comes back in, and you have to grave yourself. Now I would have personally graved the OD. I think that would have been a little bit better. You can steal some int, and I mean he can end up hitting like a truck. You can even pop your wand for some extra sustain. I mean, you weren't close to dead. You still have your wand. That's not the end of the world. You can wand, and you have another shadow wave. So you don't need to grave yourself. You should be pop your wand, go in the fog, and grave him. That would have been the correct play. But instead, your carry gets killed, and then you get killed from charge, and your Witch Doctor, who didn't use Glimmer Cape the entire fight, walks away. So overall, what could have went better in that fight? I really think leveling up Grave instead of Poison Touch would have been the play. Poison Touch didn't do a lot of work. The slow was, almost not noticeable. The fact that you casted it on Spirit Breaker instead of someone with no armor means that it was kind of a waste. You missed 2 graves, which is unfortunate, but that's something that's fairly obvious. Also, you fought them in kind of a poor position. You want to be fighting them near creeps so that your heal bombs actually do a lot of work. Your heal bombs weren't really doing anything. They were mainly just healing, not really doing any damage, though, physically. You did get a great weave off, and it's just unfortunate that you went into the fight without any earned charges. But, sometimes that's just the case. So those were a couple key points in that fight in the replay that I think could have really turned it around. The fact that you shouldn't have been trying to harass Spirit Breaker out. You should have just let him 1v1 the troll. Troll would have been ahead. You could have stacked for the troll a little bit more. Reacting to the mid when he got ganked. Ganking the mid a little bit, even though, Dazzle isn't really great at ganking. The Witch Doctor seemed to be really on point, and he really knew what he was doing. So I would have maybe just followed that guy around a bit more if you want to gank with him. If he wants to sustain the lane, just sustain with him. Just try to follow each other around and not. You don't want to obey your pubs, like the people that you don't know, like strangers, but you want to try to work together. If they have an idea and you don't think it's the best idea, just try to go with them, because it's better than them going off doing it on their own and dying. But yeah, that's the advice I can give you for this replay. Just a couple of the big key points that I saw when I was going over the replay. It was pretty much those 3 or 4 mistakes that I think could have really turned it around. Hopefully you guys like the replay analysis. I want to keep it kind of concise and short, because there are a lot of times, like right now, where I unpause it and literally nothing's happening. They're just farming. And I just wanted to, touch upon the key points that I think could have turned the game around. And in my opinion, those were the big ones. Like I said, that team fight had a 7,000 or 8,000 experience and a huge gold swing as well. So it was something where, you got completely stomped, and you had an Aegis. So it's important to recognize why these fights went wrong and how you can correct them in future fights, so that you can either create advantages if you're behind or keep advantages if you're ahead. That being said, I think I'm going to end the replay analysis. Hopefully you guys learned something from it. Give me any comments, questions, suggestions, or constructive criticism. I'd like to improve if possible. Any advice that you have just for the next one, which should be hopefully coming out within a week. Just keep sending me replays and I'll do my best. That's it, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.